Good afternoon. I'm Amy Bergman, Director of Jewish Family Life at the Friedman CJE, and I'm really pleased to be giving this presentation to our Board of Directors. In this presentation, I'm going to assume that most of you have a baseline understanding of the Jewish Family Life Department and the programs and services we provide. Today, really what I'm going to do is go a little bit deeper and help you understand how this department identifies, assesses, and meets the needs of families raising young children in our community. Let's get started. We're going to cover three things today. These three agenda items are the same three agenda items that my colleagues will be covering in their department updates to you as well. First, we will discuss what does the community look like. Then we'll talk about where are we now. Then we will discuss how does the future look. At the end, I'd love to take your questions. For now, as you have questions that come up, I'd like you to take your pen and just jot them down, and we'll cover them later. So what I want you to understand is by answering these three things, you will come to know and to get how we at the Friedman CJE are really the experts when it comes to young Jewish families in our community. By virtue of the fact that we have captured them using the PJ Library program in a database and come to know them over the past 6 years, we really are the ones who have the knowledge about what they want and what they need. So what does the community look like? Some of these facts that you see here bulleted are from the 2005 demographic study of our community. We have not had a study done since that time, so these are the only data that we really have to draw from. As you can see, we talk about the estimated population, the Jewish population of our community. We have an estimated 3,500 local children between 0 and 6 living in our community, and we have 1,200 currently enrolled in the PJ Library program. I think it's important to note that our community, just so that you're clear, is from Boynton Beach all the way up to Stewart and Port St. Lucie, west towards Loxahatchee and Wellington, and east to the ocean. We also, over the past 6 years, have 700 alumni children. That means children older than 6 years old who are still in our database, still receiving our communications, and a part of Jewish family life. And then finally, we know that only 40% of the children being raised in our Jewish community attended a Jewish early childhood center. So what does that tell us? In the red at the bottom, you'll see it really says, so what are we providing for the other 60%, and how are we reaching them? So we always take what we know and the data that we have, and then we try to infer from that. What does the community look like? So currently, we have 8 Jewish early childhood centers, each with a director. Most of those directors are full-time professionals. We have 1 JCC with 2 branches, 1 branch in Boynton Beach, 1 branch in the north in Palm Beach Gardens. We have at that JCC, 1 JCC has a Jewish education specialist, and 1 has a community engagement specialist. So really what I'm talking about here is what Jewish institutions exist that serve families and what professionals work there that would serve families. We have 1 Jewish community day school, which runs kindergarten through 8th grade. And we have no dedicated community outreach and engagement department at any one of our partner agencies currently. We have 1 synagogue, Temple Beth Am, that does have a community and engagement professional. And we have 1, as you know, Jewish Family and Children's Services with a breadth of services for families, including a mentoring program for kids who need mentors. We have, at our Jewish Federation, we have 2 shluchim, that part of their job is to function as outreach and education experts with regards to Israel education and Israeli culture. So special note over on the right, Friedman CJE in the Jewish Family Life Department has 1 director, which would be me working 4 days a week, and an associate who works 1 day a week. So these are the people in our neighborhood who are serving our 900 square mile community. So wrap your brain around that for a little bit as we talk a little bit more. Where are we now? So as you know, we launched our PJ Library program in 2008. That is the program that not only sends the Jewish books to children's homes, but really was the groundwork for what has now become the Jewish Family Life Department. In addition to the 1,000 current families with children ages 6 and younger, as I said, we have 500 families who have alumni with kids 6 and older. Those kids are now kindergarten and older, and they're ready to take the next step in their Jewish journey. And how do we help them do that? What offerings do we show them? What connections do we help them make to institutions and other Jewish families? More of where are we now? So, also, the Jewish Family Life Department provides value-based experiential Jewish education, community building, and outreach opportunities in the community. As you know, we provide a traveling curriculum project. We actually have 4 of them that are on lending right now in our community. Those are used not only in classrooms, but at family engagement programs and also at Tot Shabbats. We presently collaborate with 13 congregations, our JCC, our day school, our federation, and there are between 30 and 40 collaborative family programs that take place in this community because of CJE. This is another way to look at where are we now. It's kind of like if you are a visual learner, which I am, this just is showing you who are the people servicing the families and what are they providing. Okay, so it's all of the offerings and then what we work with, what CJE works with them in providing for families. And really our job is to have them provide the highest quality programming and education so that families connect to our Jewish institutions. Okay, more of where are we now? By virtue of providing the PJ Library books and communicating with our families once a month, our Jewish institutions have come to understand we are the links to the families raising Jewish children. And if they want to get their message, if they want to get out information to families, we're the best clearinghouse. So not only do we communicate with our families once a month with the e-newsletter, but we are the ones who are bringing in all the information from all the temples and all of the JCCs and all of the institutions about their family programs every month, and providing an online calendar link for families, where families have one place that they can go to see what's happening in their neighborhood all month long. So that is another function of where are we now. And also where are we now over the course of the past 6 years is in an effort to reach parents where they are, we have upped our social media. So we are very visible with families and connecting with families through Facebook mostly. We probably get more Facebook instant messages than we do emails from parents because that's how they communicate. So we want to make sure that we are accessible just like anyone else, so when they have a question, we're there to answer it for them. Okay, where are we now? So this is the other perspective. This is the where are we now from what we're hearing. And here's what we're hearing. Local families tell us that 76% of them read a PJ Library book at least once a week. That's amazing. That's a Jewish moment right there at home. So if we took that number and we multiplied it, what we're really showing is that recipients and their parents or caretakers reading a PJ Library book every week create over 470,000 intimate moments for Jewish learning and conversation this past year alone. And then secondly, with an average about 40% of recipients previously unknown to the Jewish community, our PJ Library program has connected more than 2,400 new families to the Jewish organizations and agencies in our community. What does that tell you? It tells you that we have great power. That 40%, had it not been for PJ Library, would have remained unknown. We also are hearing from our early childhood centers that their pre-K classes are seeing a shift in enrollment. Most of that is due to the fact that our public schools are starting to offer pre-K programs. And so that is changing the way families use preschool. So we are starting to see more preschool students leaving after the age 3 class versus leaving after the pre-K class. Well, that has a huge impact on how a family connects Jewishly. Because if they're exiting a Jewish institution 1 year earlier, how are we keeping them connected? How are we helping that synagogue or that JCC keep them involved in their institution? What are they offering that is really relevant, that will bring them back in, if they're not having them come every day for pre-K? Secondly, local synagogues are reporting an ongoing struggle to retain families after early childhood. This is something we've known for years and years. It is that bridging that gap, that continuum, and how are we getting them to stay after preschool? And that is something that the work of the CJE does every single day. So let's talk about the future a little bit and see what that looks like for us. As the Jewish community becomes more differentiated with a better understanding of individual needs, agencies will tailor more activities and messages to the needs of families and individuals. This will happen with stronger data collection and more actively engaged volunteer networks and a commitment of resources to seeding our community with professionals who can provide who can effectively meet the needs of those families. So what that says really to us is, when we work with our community partners moving forward and in the future, we have to make sure that we are fully understanding who we are dealing with. We need a more sophisticated way of collecting that data and analyzing our family and their needs. Secondly, to compete for time, the community has to be more transparent about events and do a better job of marketing to the entire community. As I said, we are the collector of this information from all of our institutions, and we do our best to push it out. But especially with technology, there are better ways of doing that, more efficient ways of doing that, and our families come to expect certain things. They're getting information from a lot of places, and we need to be competitive with that. We know what families want and need. They desire clear and accessible information. The struggle is how we provide and work with others to provide that. A major trend, a shift that we have seen with families over the last 6 years, and it's probably no surprise, is in technology. We have gone from a purely email communication to multimedia communication. Most families, their email inboxes is like the mailbox outside your house. It just stacks and stacks and stacks full of stuff in their inbox that they barely look at anymore. Email is not the best form of communication. It may have been 5-6 years ago, today not so true. There are so many other ways that families need and want their information. And we need to make sure that we are moving and adjusting to meet that need, especially if we want them to hear what we are saying and what we are trying to show them in their Jewish journey. So at this point, I'd like to open it up for any questions that anyone may have, and I will do my very best to answer them. And if you leave the room today and for some reason think of a question tomorrow or later on, feel free to email Jeannie, and she will get those questions to me to answer. So at this time, I'd like to take the first question. Yes?
How is the Federation involved in the next steps?
Federation's always involved in our next steps. Our agency goes through a process all the time with allocation where we talk about the needs and the services that families need. They too know that we are the go-to people when it comes to that. They are the ones that come to us and really talk about that. A prime example of that would be the Jewish Right Start program, which is an incentivized program for families to choose a Jewish preschool. It was CJE who brought the issue of the high cost of Jewish preschool to Federation and said what we're hearing from families, because we are the people who are connected to families, is that they would consider a Jewish preschool and think Jewish preschools are high quality and they're in a great location. The barrier for them was the cost. and we were the ones who brought that to Federation, and through some allocated funds, they were able to start offering Jewish Right Start, which is an incentive program in this community that helps a family pay for Jewish preschool for their first child attending Jewish preschool. So that's kind of an example of how that happens.
Thank you.
Next.
Can you briefly address who you regularly meet with? Every time I come into the office, you always have somebody new in your office.
Okay, so a lot of my work, as I've talked about before when we gave the basics about the department, those 3 C's, the concierge, consultation, and collaboration that we do in Jewish family life. The consultation is probably what you're talking about. Quite often I meet not just here in the offices, but I often go out into the community to meet with Jewish professionals who are planning programming. So I work with them on various different levels, and I work with them in providing high quality programming. I help them to understand how to plan and implement engaging family programs. What we don't want, what none of us want, and what they don't want either. No one wants a program where you have parents in the back of the room with their Starbucks cups and kids up front. So we're really looking to help them provide that, and that's the expertise that I bring when I meet with some of these people, and it kind of varies in levels depending on how long that professional's been in that role, or what their goals and objectives are. And really that's what I do. The first thing I ask any person I meet with is, what are your goals and objectives? Your agency, your program, where you work, what are you trying to achieve by offering this? And then I help them with that.
Have you tried to bring PJ parents together for social events without the kids?
I would love to do that. There's lots of great and wonderful opportunities. PJ Library is really just a tool. The books are not really what it's about. So there are lots of great opportunities, not just for parents, but grandparents, and more things that we could be doing with, as I said before, when we talked about the future, with more resources. So yes, that is definitely something we would love to explore.